They say the mansion on Hollow Hill was cursed, but no one believed it, until the night the portraits started whispering. In the cold, fog-choked village of Ravenswood, the ancient Blackwood Manor loomed like a shadow from another world. Its twisted iron gates groaned open as Eliza, a young historian driven by obsession, stepped inside. The air was thick with decay, and the wooden floors creaked beneath her boots like the house was alive, watching. Eliza's breath formed clouds in the frigid air as she moved deeper into the manor's heart. The walls were lined with portraits of the Blackwood family, their eyes dark and hollow, yet somehow watching. She had come to uncover the truth behind the family's sudden disappearance a century ago, but what greeted her was far worse than any legend. As the clock in the grand hall struck midnight, a low murmur echoed through the corridors. Eliza froze. The portrait's eyes flickered with unnatural light, and a soft, sibilant whisper brushed past her ear. "Leave, or join us, forever." Heart pounding, she tried to retreat, but the mansion had other plans. The heavy doors slammed shut, trapping her inside. Shadows stretched and twisted, forming grotesque shapes that danced on the peeling wallpaper. The whispered voices grew louder, chanting names of those who vanished without a trace. Eliza's lantern flickered, revealing a secret passage behind a torn tapestry. Desperation pushing her forward, she entered. The narrow corridor led to a hidden chamber where the air was thick with the scent of burnt candles and something metallic, blood. In the center stood a massive mirror, its surface rippling like water. Entranced, Eliza peered into it and saw not her reflection, but a ghostly figure, a woman with hollow eyes and a mouth sewn shut. The apparition reached out, and Eliza's reflection screamed silently back. A sudden chill forced her away, but the mirror whispered a terrible truth. The Blackwoods had trapped their souls to cheat death, binding themselves to the house through dark rituals. Each portrait was a prison, each shadow a fragment of their torment. Faced with a choice, escape and leave the souls to suffer, or join them and break the curse, Eliza hesitated. The house pulsed, inviting her to become its next eternal prisoner. The portrait's eyes burned with pleading and warning. With trembling hands, she raised a shard of broken glass and shattered the mirror. The manor shook violently. Whispers turned into anguished screams. The walls bled darkness as the spirits of Blackwood surged toward her, desperate for release. Eliza sprinted through the collapsing corridors, the mansion twisting impossibly, corridors looping back on themselves. Just as the gates appeared, the ghost with sewn lips blocked her path, extending a pale hand. "Remember us," it whispered, "or be lost like we are." Eliza burst through the gates into the cold night, the manor sealing itself behind her. She looked back to see the portraits fade into nothingness, the house now silent and still. But as she walked away, the wind carried a final chilling whisper. The curse is not broken. It waits. And in her pocket she found a small, blackened seed, cold and pulsing with dark promise. Days passed in restless unease. Eliza returned to her modest cottage on the edge of Ravenswood, but sleep eluded her. The seed in her pocket seemed alive, its dark pulse a heartbeat against her skin. She tried to research the Blackwood family further, poring over dusty tomes and ancient records, but every lead twisted back to the manor, as if the house itself was a labyrinth with no exit. One evening, as the wind howled outside, Eliza sat by the fireplace, the seed glowing faintly in the dim light. A sudden, sharp pain stabbed her palm where the seed rested. She gasped, dropping it onto the wooden table. The seed cracked open, revealing a tiny sprout of blackened roots that writhed like serpents. Terrified, Eliza grabbed the seedling and hurled it into the fire. Flames licked at the twisted plant, but instead of burning, the sprout seemed to drink the fire, growing larger and darker. The room chilled instantly, and an oppressive silence fell. From the shadows, a voice whispered, soft and coaxing, "You cannot destroy what is born from darkness." Eliza spun around, heart hammering. The room was empty, yet the air thrummed with unseen presence. Determined not to be consumed by fear, she gathered her notes and prepared to return to Blackwood Manor. If the curse was alive in that seed, then the source of the darkness remained buried in the house's depths. Returning to the manor at dusk, Eliza noticed that the iron gates, once twisted and ancient, now gleamed with a cold, unnatural sheen. The air felt thicker, the shadows deeper. As she stepped inside, the house seemed to breathe, welcoming her back with a sinister warmth. The portraits had returned, their eyes no longer hollow but gleaming with trapped memories. One, a portrait of a young girl with dark curls, reached out as if to speak. Eliza's voice caught in her throat, but she whispered, "Who are you? What do you want?" The painted lips moved, forming words. "Free us." Guided by the voices, Eliza descended into the manor's forgotten basement, a place untouched by time. The walls here were covered in symbols, runes of binding and sacrifice, etched deep into stone. The air was thick with the scent of incense and rot. At the room's center stood an ancient altar, stained with dried blood and surrounded by broken chains. Here, the Blackwood family had performed their ritual, sacrificing their mortal forms to trap their souls within the manor, seeking immortality at a terrible cost. Eliza realized the seed was part of the ritual's lingering power, a dark root from the tree of their cursed souls. She took a deep breath, recalling the ghost's words, "Remember us, or be lost like we are." Eliza began to chant the incantations she had painstakingly translated, calling upon the spirits to find peace. The air thickened and shadows surged, swirling around her like a storm. Faces appeared in the darkness, anguished, pleading, yet grateful. The sewn-lipped woman stepped forward, her mouth slowly unsewing, a smile breaking through centuries of silence. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have given us release." The shadows dispersed, the oppressive weight lifting. The manor seemed to sigh, the walls brightening as dawn's light crept through shattered windows. Eliza stepped outside, the morning air crisp and clean. The manor stood quiet, no longer a prison but a relic freed from its dark past. In her hand, the blackened seed had withered to dust. Yet, as she turned away, a faint whisper followed her on the breeze, barely audible. "The roots run deep, and some promises never die."